Alright kiddos, today we're talking about the real history of Scottish tartan. You've probably been told that tartan is not actually very old and that it was associated with different Highland clans. Well, a lot of that history was made up. The earliest evidence of tartan we have actually goes back over 3,000 years ago from this mummy, found in Western China. This is the oldest tartan we know of in Scotland. It's called the Falkirk tartan and it's actually in this checkered pattern. But how did tartan go from being everyday peasant dress to being high-ranking fancy dress? This is a painting of the famous Battle of Culloden. The British basically defeated the Jacobites who recruited a lot of Highland officers. But why did this battle symbolize for a lot of people the end of a Highland way of life? This is because of the Dress Act of 1746. The act banned tartan as well as other elements of Celtic culture for everyone that wasn't a high-ranking Highland officer. Tartan became exclusively a part of military uniforms. This was to get the high-ranking Highland officers to be on the side of the British crown. Even though the act was repealed in 1782, the damage was done. Tartan was still being mostly worn by guys like this. Then there's the romantic novel part of the story. The famous Sir Walter Scott was writing the Waverley novels. These incredibly popular novels set a scene of a romanticized, misty Scottish Highlands, complete with big burly Highland warriors that kind of remind me of Scottish-themed romance novels of today, such as This Laird of Mine, or perhaps The Laird's Christmas. But all that aside, famously, King George IV wore tartan in his visit to Scotland in 1822. Sir Walter Scott actually organized the visit, complete with a tartan pageant. And this is just the beginning of tartan performativity, because of course the very Queen Victoria had her own tartan craze. She also visited Scotland proudly wearing tartan, but while popularity of tartan was growing among rich folks, the Highland clearances were underway, where tons of actual Highlanders were being evicted from their homes. The idea of tartan clans were invented in the early 1800s. Until then, tartan was just based on your personal taste and the vegetable dyes that were in your area. If you look closely at this painting, you can see that these soldiers are wearing a bunch of different tartans all at once. But the British loved organizing people. They also loved their synthetic dyes and making up patterns to claim that they had connection to Scotland through some kind of clan. It's been a way of showing off their appreciation for Scotland ever since. So before it was national dress, these cloths weren't associated with clans, but probably did have deep meanings about where you were from.